Kyle, dude, it's been a minute since we've talked.
Mm.
You earlier on this year, your goal was hold on, let me see if I can get it. 32 and 23.
That's right.
So you wanted to have 32 speaking engagements.
Yep.
And you crushed that by like March.
Yeah, we hit 33 in May or June, and I'll end 78.
Wow.
Did 21 last year.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So
That's a
needless to say,
big jump.
You're feeling comfortable up there now.
Oh, for sure.
That's
Yeah, and it's been a game changer to the business.
Good. Good.
Yep.
So remind everyone what you do.
Yeah, so I'm a professional speaker and a leadership consultant. So I work primarily with the rising stars of a company. There's a lot for people getting into companies,
Mhm.
a lot for the executives. There's about 80% of your company that's not being served, and that's where we fit in. We're the leader's cheat code at Unleash the Champ.
Okay. You have a website.
Yep, unleashthechamp.com. After we just saw that website, probably shouldn't pull it up. I should probably but yeah, so unleashthechamp.com.
78?
78.
Serves all north of America, plus some over here. What is that,
Mm.
the Pacific?
Yep.
Dude,
Oh, that's cool.
love it.
I like his website.
Kyle J. Sullivan. Dang.
You look like
I like
you,
that.
You look really young in this.
Yeah, that's before, really before I started the business. Business age you.
Can you say that again?
The business will age you.
Yeah.
Hey, do you ever
that's
get
the truth.
nervous? You ever get anxious?
Not anxious, but I get nervous every time I speak.
What does that feel like?
I think I get nervous because it matters. Any time that I communicate to people. So people ask me a lot, like, "Oh, I could never do it," because most people's fear is public speaking.
Right.
And I get that question, like, "Do you get nervous?" And I go, "Well, I get nervous because it matters. Anytime that I'm able to stand in front of people or sit in front of people and communicate, there's nerves to it." And so being able to say, like, yeah, if I didn't get nervous, I would start to ask if I should still do this.
Mm-hmm. I like that, actually. It's kind of similar to how I see my designs when I do my landscapes. Like the big ones are like, well, almost like it's daunting. You're going to crush it.
Right.
But you want to make sure you get it right. You want to make sure you're communicating. It's
For
basically
sure.
what it is.
Right.
Right. You want to make sure that whatever information they give you, which in your particular situation, you're getting, information from hundreds of people at the same time.
Right.
And it's like you got to interpret that information and do the best you can to essentially communicate back. And yeah, I like the way you said that. I get nervous because it matters. Because it does. You want to get it right. You want to make sure you make an impact. And
100%.
you want to make sure that they see your value.
So you go from 21 speaking engagements to over 70.
Uh-huh.
What are some of the worst moments and some of the best?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Where did you crash and burn, and then where did you feel like that you really made it? Do you have any of those moments? I'm sure you have.
So there was a workshop that I did that just the engagement was, I was too much for the team that I was talking to, and probably a lot of introverts, a lot of folks that were more reserved. So I come in with high energy, and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on, guys?" And it just took a lot, and I had to adjust. And so I sat down more, I walked around more. I wasn't so much from the front, and so it took a little bit of adjustment on the fly of, okay, how am I going to alter the content based on what I'm being communicated back non-verbally from?
Because I'm sure you walked in with one idea.
For sure. Yeah.
And then first, 15 minutes?
Probably 15 minutes is like,
you're like, oh.
this, and, it was a 2-hour workshop. And so I needed to adjust on the fly and be able to do that.
I have to do that in sales. So do you.
Yeah.
Depending on your kind of customer that you're talking to, if you go in and you're all like, "Hey, let's do this, let's do that," and you get too excited, maybe even if you got good passion, that's great.
Right.
But sometimes they're like,
Bit
I
too
need
much.
hold on.
Yeah. Right.
Simmer.
Talk
Yeah.
to me,
Right. Right.
And then there's some people where you need to have that energy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the best one, I've gotten to do a lot of trainings with the Cherokee Nation this year through a partnership with Tulsa Tech as a leadership instructor.
Okay.
And so that's been amazing. Over 30 dates of training in Q4. And that's been really, really fun. And it's been a new type of speaking. So that's more like 1-2 day intensives. And I've implemented that into the business. I didn't know if I'd like it. I didn't know because it's 4 to 8 hours of me delivering content. And I was like, that's a lot.
So how do you prep for that?
I mean, you know it's coming up, and so you prep a little bit, make sure your slide decks and everything are in order, workbooks and whatever, and then you just reps, just like with anything. It's just longer time.
Okay.
So you're prepping for more content, and luckily once you do it a few times,
right, kind of get the idea.
Yeah, you get the feel of it, and you
right.
know what it is, and have a great slide deck behind me that supports what I'm saying, and got my clicker. You know, that was an upgrade this year. Had a clicker now.
Yeah,
yeah, laser pointer. It's we're moving up in the world.
Up, yeah, for sure.
You know, that's my gear. I got excited about it. Hey, I got a clicker, baby.
Hey, man, that's a big deal.
I've had 2 speaking engagements this year, or 3. One of them was 2 MIPO events. They were super small, but you said the clicker, and I used Canva for my designs. And then there's a mobile app for that.
Uh-huh.
So you can change your slides. You can do effects and stuff like that too.
Nice.
Connect it with your Canva slide.
Huh.
I didn't know that.
The more you know.
So I had my iPad plugged into the projector via HDMI, and then pulled it up on my phone, and then remote controlled my iPad.
Nice.
That's cool.
So
there you go.
But do you have a laser?
I didn't need one.
Didn't have a laser.
Didn't need one.
Yeah.
Because I could point on I could tap on the screen, and then it would.
Oh, okay. That makes
there you
sense.
go. Nice.
That makes sense. Okay.
And messed around with that. That's cool.
Okay.
It's
that
some
is
pretty
pretty
cool stuff. I'm always trying to figure out new tech.
Yeah,
Right.
you are.
I get so nerdy with it. I love it.
That's
Well,
why
it's your industry, so that's makes sense.
right.
So that's good. What else?
Ginger got to see me at a speaking event, which was awesome. So
That's cool.
same time I started the business, we started having kids, and so
That's
she
tough.
Amen, brother.
She
Amen.
hadn't been able to. This year was the first year she saw me at a speaking event for Unleash the Champ, and not when I was in ministry.
It's like seeing your husband out in the wild.
Yeah, and so it was really cool.
I'm sure.
It was out at Shangri-La. It was
nice.
So we got to have a room, and it was like, oh man, this is hitting a lot of boxes. She getting to see me speak. We're getting a weekend away. Kids stayed with grandparents. That was the highlight of the year. And I tell people, they're like, yeah, and they're like, wait, what? I'm like, well, we have a 2- and 4-year-old at the time who started business. So
It's a different season of life, man. Different season.
People are like, you should just bring your kids. I'm like, no.
No.
I'm not paying attention to nobody if my family's around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so
it's definitely very difficult too.
Yeah.
And so you have to divide that line and be like, all right, nobody else gets my attention but my family. And it's always on top of my mind. So when my family comes out with me, whatever it is, I'm always like, well, how's so-and-so? Are they okay? Are they fighting now? Or are they like playing? Are they hungry? Are they thirsty? Or like, I don't know. There's always that parental thoughts that come by, right?
Well, and I think it's going to be fun. I feel like Piper, she's 4 now. I think about another year, she'll be able to go to some stuff with me, and I feel like I'm really excited for that.
Oh, it gets so fun.
Because she sets up her little like office in her room, and it just, she's like, Daddy, I'm going to be a speaker. And I'm like, dang right you are, girl. And so I think about a year or so, she'll be able to come to some local stuff with me. She asks every time, like, Daddy, what are you doing today? I'm like, I'm helping people grow. She's like, yeah, you are. Go do it. And yeah.
Oh, man, that's a
that's
win.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
That's awesome.
I told Cole, I
Love
was like,
that.
hey, man, you want to make $12,000?
Yes.
Put a big number in their head. Yeah. As an adult, you're like, that's it.
Well, he goes, what am I going to do with that? I'm like, I don't, whatever. I mean, just about whatever you want. I'm going to tell you have to take a minimum of 50% and stuff it. But I was like, go buy a PlayStation 5. Like, take 2,000 of it and go save for a car. Like, that's only 6 years away. You're going to buy a car with cash, dude. You're going to you could go buy a really nice car if you save 12 grand a year for 6 years,
They don't have $500 beaters anymore, Cole.
bro.
Right. You better get your money right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And so I'm trying to. My kids get an allowance. They get
Yeah.
$20 a month, but that $20 is also part of my budget. So I go $20 goes to you, $20 goes to you. Each of them have to automatically take $10 of that and put it into savings. That is then used to be able to buy their friends' birthday gifts, or buy somebody else a gift for a birthday or Christmas or something. Or if they save that up long enough and not spend their other $10, then they can save up and buy whatever. I don't care. Also, I charge them $5 a month for video game, internet, and PlayStation subscriptions, things like that. So their $10 a month gets cut in half right off the bat.
Talk
Because-
about real life, right?
Because
Come
there's
on,
some
right.
real life
Principles.
stuff, and they're like, oh, I just got paid. I got $10. Can I go buy this Minecraft thing? I'm like, sure. Yeah, let's check your account. And they're like, oh, I only have $8. I'm like, dang, you need 10. What are we gonna do about that?
Can't
Right,
do
come up with
nothing.
solutions.
I was like, now
Get
you've
a
got to figure
job.
this out. But anyway, so I was talking with Cole. I was like, you want to make 12 grand? And blah, blah, blah. We kind of went through that whole conversation. But he's shown some interest in like some of the things that I do here.
Nice.
Yeah.
And he's joked around with Devin. He's like, I'm gonna take your job.
I love it. I love
Nice.
it.
So I was like, all right, well, I could pay you, but I need you to actually work.
Right.
If you come here, you have to work. What could you do? And I was like, what if you help me with a studio? I was like, that's real easy. I could teach you how to hit some buttons.
Right.
If you can figure out Fortnite and Minecraft and video games and
Seriously.
and search and whatever else, so he's done
Dude, he
some
can
mild
figure it
level of
out.
coding
Yeah.
as well. So I was like, he could figure out how to hit a few buttons and record.
Yeah.
He could be over there hitting record and
Absolutely.
changing cameras. So my goal is next summer is to bring him in on Friday afternoons or Fridays with me whenever we do Brews and Business,
Yeah.
and have him man the cameras and pay him $10 an hour. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
Something like that.
That's awesome.
And then it's free. It's tax deductible for me.
Right.
Right.
You know?
Right. It all works out.
So,
Not only that, I mean, dude, you're not gonna find cheap labor like that anymore.
but another option too is if you're needing, and I'm not in a tax write-off situation, but if you're needing a tax write-off, you could pay your kids
Right.
$12,000 and then put those into like a 401k or an IRA
Yep.
or whatever.
Mhm.
So,
That's awesome. I love how you guys talk about how, you're ultimately, some of the moments that you guys have seen here lately in your business is like where your kids or your family have been a part of your business, right? And I think, at least I know between you and I, Kyle, we may not hang out as much, but I'm sure it's the same feeling where we're so immersed in our business that we don't really give our other halves the attention they deserve, right? The attention and the love and all that they deserve. And it's like, it's so nice. I got to do it last Friday for the Christmas party. I got to bring my wife. Dude, I never get to take her anywhere either.
oh, I
Right?
was so
Same
glad
thing,
you
right?
did
I
that,
got 3
man.
kids, right?
Right.
All under 5, 2, and 5, 4, and 2. Like, I'm in the same boat as you are,
Right.
man. And it's like, I don't get to take her anywhere. And all she knows is I'm out here grinding. And then I'm like, hell yeah, I get to take my wife out, get some arm candy, get to show off my wife. Hey, these are my people I do business with. These are my, like, this is cool.
100%.
And it's just awesome because, hey, it's just a kind of like you said, there's really nothing to it. I'm working.
Right.
But there's like little perks, like you get to come hang out at a cool Christmas party. Kids are gone for a night. That's cool. It's nothing crazy big. But then the other day I went with my kids. We went to a job site, and you were talking about how Piper kind of has some instances where she like copies you and she's trying to learn from you, right?
100%.
And we went out to a job site the other day on a Thursday. Thursdays are my days with the kids, and my wife goes and helps my mom clean. And I happened to go to a job site where one of my favorite customers, I knew he wasn't going to be home, so I went by with my kids, and Remy's 5, and we're out there. And before, she's just like there, right?
Right.
Just a little kid, nothing. Well, we get out there, and she's like paying attention. She's like, Dad, why are they doing that? I said, what do you mean? How are they doing that, Dad? Why are they doing that? I was like, well, and I kind of started, she's like, so they use that machine to do this? And then I'm like, yeah. She's like, that's cool. I'm like, dang, girl, you're already 5. Like,
Come on.
I need you out here managing these projects, girl. Hurry
Right.
up. It's
Do
great.
you want to make 12 grand?
yes, exactly.
It's funny 'cause in their minds, like,
yes, right. And for us, it's like, wow, dude. But you think about it, it's like, I love having the opportunities to do that, right? both with our kids or with our spouses. Like even for my wife, she's like, well, I'm kind of ready to like get back into the world. You know, I love being a stay-at-home mom. I love homeschooling the girls, but I kind of ready to like, you know, start using my brain again. And I'm like, yeah, but you know, I really don't want you to. And this and that. I was like, well, what if I suck you back into the business? And she's like, well, that'd be okay. I'm like, you know, it's fun to be able to create those opportunities for people. They don't have to take them,
Right.
right? But it's like the ability to be able to take people from your circle and create opportunities for them that realistically are probably things that you probably need to be taking care of anyways. You just don't have the ability to do everything at once,
Right.
right? And sometimes you need a button clicker, right? Which is ridiculous, but for
Wait,
know,
you
10-year-old
had an actual device or somebody that was the title of
no,
button
he had
clicker?
a device.
Oh, okay.
But I'm talking
Oh,
about back
he's-
here for Cole. You're right.
He's
It's
like,
completely
Cole,
different.
Cole, you have a title. Button clicker.
Yeah, like, well, you know, my automatic gate openers aren't old enough to open the gates yet, so I'm kind of pissed about that. My wife didn't tell me it
Yeah.
would take me 6 years for them to open the gate. But
That's funny.
anyways, yeah, I mean, it's just
Yeah, it's been
it's
super
cool. It's cool, man. We get to provide these opportunities, and it's kind of cool to as we grow and you know, it sucks, but in the moments where our businesses are struggling, we definitely don't feel that, right? We're just like, man, we're struggling. Our businesses aren't kicking ass, this and that. But it's like, but then we get into the moments where it's like, well, we're just working, and we get these little tiny tidbits of like affirmation, right? Is
For
what
sure.
it is. Where it's like, man, if I had to be working for somebody, I couldn't just bring my kids. Like, I hate to say this, but, and maybe not in the exact predicament, but Brayden, who just went to go get your kids? Your team.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Maddie,
Because you're
Maria,
busy.
and Sydney
We
all
got something going.
went. Yeah.
So your team went to go get your kids. But realistically speaking, if your team had kids, they probably wouldn't be asking you to go pick up the kids. They'd probably be going to get their kids or whatever. They wouldn't bring them to work.
They
And it's
wouldn't
like,
ask me.
Right,
Right.
exactly. But it's because
I would do it.
There's right.
Right.
You would, and that's the thing. I would too, right? But there's a boundary that's it's supposed to be there. It's there for a reason, right?
Right.
There's a boundary.
Sure.
But in that reality, it's like, man, it's
But I
nice.
serve in other ways, right?
No, absolutely,
For
absolutely.
sure.
I'm not saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying.
Oh, I'm not.
Anything
That wasn't
negative
a
about it.
defensive
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
comment. That was just a
No,
contributing
yes,
comment.
but
yeah.
I just feel like, man,
Yeah.
it's kind of cool. Like, yeah, you said you've been up to 1 or 2 all week. You know, we did 30 engagements in the last
Dude,
you know,
freaking
quarter. That's
literally.
crazy. Like, you guys have been busting ass, but it's the reality. It's like, yeah, we do. But I also get to make some things happen where I get to spend time with my family, or they get to see certain things in my life that otherwise, you know, wouldn't happen. You know, I hate to say
Right.
this, but like, I know for one of my cousins, their family always worked in the factory. You know, it sounds crazy, but it's like I doubt, and this is probably really silly, but I doubt those kids ever got to go see inside that factory and see what their parents did, and that probably would have been the coolest shit ever for those kids, right? But they never got to sit because they worked at a factory. It wasn't loud. My dad was a truck driver. I went out on the road with my dad a few times. My dad was working, but I thought that was the coolest shit ever.
That's
in this
awesome.
big old semi running around the country. Like, I thought that was cool, but he was just working, right? And we all get to experience that with our kids and express that with our kids. Like, man, yeah, it's not necessarily ideal all the time, and sometimes we got to give up a lot more than other people do.
Right.
But man, being able to just share that with our people, and sometimes it's a night out with the wife, and it's like, hell yeah, we're working, we're networking tonight.
Yeah.
Let's get dressed up and
Yeah.
go out. Yeah, get a couple drinks, have some good free food.
Did you
Hell
guys
yeah.
stay out after the party?
Oh no, dude.
You went home?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I went home.
I was so happy to
crashed.
see that she was there because I know how
Oh yeah.
it's like I never get to see her out with you, you
Right.
know, and I know you guys never really get an opportunity to go out,
Right.
and I was just so happy to see both of you guys here, and I'm like, yeah, man, he brought his wife, like, that's I'm
a lot of
so happy,
littles.
yeah.
A lot of littles, man. It gets hard.
Right.
You know, and thankful to our wives who take care of those littles, because man, it's hard to. You're juggling. You know, I know Devin right now too. He's got. It's a struggle. The littles and
His wife had a doctor appointment. He's working from home today.
right. That's what I'm
But
saying.
but
It's-
even then, like I called him. I called and I was like, dude, what are you doing today? Like, are you just looking up tasks and thinking about what you're gonna do over the next 2 weeks? Because like that's not justifiable for me today to pay you to do
right,
nothing.
Right.
Like if you need the day off, fine, but we're gonna account for that to some
Right,
degree. Even though
right.
Sydney was like, do you guys really have unlimited PTO. I was like, well, yeah. Like, if you need to go do whatever, like, go do whatever. I don't care. If you need
Get
if
your
you're-
shit done.
Yeah,
Right.
just so long as your job is done.
Yep.
And if you're struggling because you're taking so much time off, now I've got a problem.
Right.
But
Now we
outside of
gotta-
that, like, I hired you to do a job. You should be responsible enough to do that job. And if you're not, then I'll find somebody who is.
Well, it's
know.
instilling that ownership mentality in your team.
And I'm also not paying minimum wage.
Right. Right.
I start at 45, 40.
Right. Which again, I think it's putting that ownership mentality into your team, because like for us, that's what we get to do, right? It's
Mhm.
we get unlimited PTO, right? But it's like reality. It's like, well, we also get like unpaid overtime.
Oh, yeah. You know, like
it's
there's-
like we get all that,
Right.
but you allow them to feel that pain if they
For
want
sure.
that pain. They don't have to have it,
Right.
but if you want to feel it, man, you can feel it. But when you're working all night because you've been off for 3 days because of whatever,
I'm sorry.
that's on you.
That's on
That's
you.
on
Yeah.
you. And,
You
and
know?
Do it.
right.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's like it doesn't become a problem until then. And honestly, I think for at least for my team, I've realized that kind of works, but at the same time, it's like you got to have the right team. I think your team does fantastic about it. Devin's different situation, of course. I remember being a new dad. I can't imagine being a new dad to twins. That sounds fucking terrifying.
The first set. Yeah.
And
The first time.
ever,
have twins.
right, and you have
That's
twins.
crazy.
Like,
God
it
bless
sounds
him, yeah.
terrifying. I wanted it,
Right.
but now I'm like, ooh, that's
I don't know how they did that. For some reason, there's a bubble that keeps coming up
no, that's cool.
with a thumbs up. So I was going to try to figure out how to do it. So if you see me
Do that.
randomly, is that what you did?
No, if you, I think like if some streaming now, if you do this, it like shoots lasers.
Oh wow, that's cool. But
Okay, start throwing gain signs. I'm just kidding.
Podcast
There
is
you
taking
go.
a turn.
That's right. That's right. What kind of business are we talking about here?
Right.
Someone shows up in here and be like, yo, I hear you've been making signs. I'm like,
Yeah, right.
listen, I'm just trying to make the bubbles in the
Dude,
stream."
the
Like-
chairs are blue and the hats are red.
We got both covered.
Right.
Oh,
But
I love that.
no, man, like I said, I love that. I really do. It's a hard part of being a business owner, but I also think it's one of the most rewarding parts. Now, also with that, like you said, it's kind of like, it's hard to justify whenever you're taking it easy and you have to be hard on your team,
Mhm.
right? So like for me, that's been more or less like the past couple weeks where it's like, well, I'm kind of chill. It's not really going. It's slow season, right? And I kind of still have to keep my team moving
Right.
because they won't move themselves. So it's like I got to keep guys moving, kind of like, hey, accountability. It's like it sucks, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, we kind of signed ourselves up for that, right?
That's what you
it's
signed
like,
up for.
so, it's a struggle. I definitely think depending on the team member, for me, I definitely know there's some people you need to clock in and clock out.
Right.
And there's other people like, yeah, you can do whatever you got to do, but you'll make sure the task is done. And then sometimes when I'm like, why are you here Sunday at 11 o'clock at night? Well, I had to get some work done. I didn't get whatever, man.
Okay.
I just need it done.
Right.
Yeah, right. And it's like it's crazy, but again, it works, and
Like
it's give or take.
Sydney was up at 6 o'clock in the morning, actually working on some stuff, and there was plenty of nights to where I know Maddie or Maria have also been up 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, working on stuff. But again, like I give them, what's the word? Is it autonomy?
Autonomy.
Yeah.
I give them the autonomy to be able to decide that. You
Yeah,
know,
and I
and
think
I'm not your boss. It's like, okay, schedule this, do that. Okay, show up at here, close out. And then did you clock out? Did you clock in? Did you go to lunch? Like, I'm like,
We're not a
okay,
micromanager.
listen, if you're going to go take a lunch, if that's your thing, if you want to go take an hour lunch, go take an hour lunch. I do not care. If you're like, well, I'm just going to work through the whole day and I'm just going to take breaks and just get on my phone or walk around or do whatever. I'm like, I do not care.
Right.
Does the job get done? Great. Are clients happy? And are you happy? Great. That's all I care.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's a shift from kind of an old
corporate.
school corporate mentality to being outcome based rather than like
Right.
I need every little thing done.
Because I don't pay them for their time.
Right.
I want to pay for expertise.
Yep.
I want to pay for what do you bring into the table? What are you contributing? Paid based on value per se, I guess.
Mhm.
And that's
100%.
not, and that doesn't mean I don't love everyone or care or
Sure.
whatever. But that's just based on paper, on task wise, or how can you contribute to the team? And I think corporations need to start looking at team members that way.
Well,
They
well,
need
you
to
end
stop
up
being
paying-
like, well, can you just? I mean, not everyone's flipping hamburgers,
Right.
And I
Right.
don't mean to disregard those who
Burger
do that,
Fingers,
burger
right.
fingers, because I do like a good hamburger.
Right. Of course.
I mean, everybody loves. Yeah.
And I think it's important that like if you can pay off of value, like I've lost, I say lost in air quotes for those listening, not watching, lost a client because they said, well, what's your hourly?
Mhm.
Oh
And I
yeah.
went, I don't have one.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
This is the price. 15 years doing this. This is the price.
Yep.
And I think it's an antiquated deal. And we're about to enter a very interesting time in the workforce. So when this May hits and this senior class this year graduates, we'll have 5 generations in the workforce.
Oh wow. So
What?
all the way from before the retirees of the boomers,
Boomers,
Entirely.
Gen X, Millennials,
Gen Z.
Gen Z, and Alpha. The senior class is the first Alpha generation that will be in the workforce.
They're going to change the world.
They think so.
We don't know it.
Yeah.
We think they're stupid, but
Well,
they're gonna modernize and they're gonna change so much. And I already got called old.
Okay, but okay,
Like,
I'm not against it.
No.
I'm not against it.
I'm not either. I'm so down for adaptability and changing
Well,
and upgrading,
it-
but there's a lot of people who aren't yet,
Right.
which is still have a lot of power and control into what happens in our society, in our world.
Yep.
You know, and they're not ready for that change. So it's going to take a whole 2 or 3 generations to really see, I think, the effect of the next 2 generations
Right.
up and coming.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because we've never had that many generations made up in the workforce
Oh, really?
because people aren't able to retire as they used to.
Right.
And
Because of
people-
inflation.
People discount or discredit going from high school to college so quickly, or if at all.
Yeah, right. Nobody cares anymore.
And so, unless it's a specialized
I feel like
thing, then it's like, nah.
back when I graduated, I feel like it was a big deal, right?
Absolutely.
In 2012, it was like you need to go to college. And in 2012, I was like, I'm not going to college. I did like an idiot for 4 years. But in 2012, so 2016, it was a big deal.
Right.
But it seemed like almost as soon as I dropped out of college, it was like nobody goes to college anymore. It's like, why? It's like you see all the people graduating that
Can't
don't
get a
have a
job.
job. And I'm like, what do you mean? And then that's literally what made me get out of
Oh,
get
yeah.
out of college was I had 2 other friends going to the same exact degree from way better schools than I was. And one of them graduated, couldn't find a job. The other one graduated and kept doing what he was doing in college. I'm like, what are you doing? He still does it to this day. And I'm like, so you went to go get a degree for this and you still don't have a job? Like, no. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to go get in all this debt for that. Like,
I'm not going to do
no,
that.
No,
Right.
there's no way.
I want to highlight real quick the Tulsa Irish Festival. I just got put in charge of the media and PR marketing position.
Come on.
I'm super pumped about that. We have 40,000 tickets to sell out.
There you go.
Put it that way.
40,000 to
It's
sell.
March 8th to March 10th, 2024 at the River West Festival Park. So if you're looking to paint T-Town green, you got to buy tickets now. There's an early bird special on the website. We're looking for sponsors, volunteers, and vendors. There's lots of music. We're bringing music artists from Ireland to come
Oh,
in. They're
wow.
flying in for the
That's
whole.
pretty cool.
They're flying in for the whole weekend. Scaryvore, don't know how to say some of this. Jig Jam, Doolin, Shane Hennessy, Clickhorn, the Waxy Dargles. Some of these names
I
are
like
cool,
that.
man.
I like that.
Cassie and Maggie from Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia? How do you say
Nova
it?
Scotia.
Nova
Yep.
Scotia.
Okay, Runa from Ireland. There's lots of really cool bands, and so we've
Have you
got-
listened to any of these people?
Not yet. I'm
We
brand,
should.
This
I'm
is like the
brand
first-
new.
Yeah.
So I'm
We do
down.
reactions
Yeah.
to their music.
Hey, that's a
We
good
should
idea.
do that. Yeah. So this is there's a lot of events in March that are like drink some beer and like take a
Right.
shot and stuff. This
Isn't
is
it Mayfest in May too? Well, that's May. not
That's
March.
Mayfest, but Oktoberfest
Mayfest
is a
in
big
March?
one. But especially like the Irish, like
Oh,
you
for
know,
sure.
the McNelly's down here,
Yep.
they do
Oh,
like a
that's
big
right.
drink fest and
They
stuff like
do.
that. And there's a lot of drunks.
Isn't
and stuff.
there a run that McNally's holds too? I'm pretty sure there's a 5K that McNally holds
I think
during that
s-
time.
maybe.
Where you got to like run the 5K and then chug a
a pint.
bunch of beer or something. Yeah. It's like a terrible idea.
Prank run.
So
Yeah.
this one, this is the the real first family fun activity. There's a kids zone. There's a lot of good food, a lot of family fun. There's a worship service on Sunday for Protestant worship service, and then there's a Catholic mass going on as well too. So There's some
Oh,
cool,
wow.
interesting
That's awesome.
things. There's a schedule that's actually being finalized in the next 30 days. It'll be put on the website. So if you want to see the different bands and things like that are playing, hey, cool. So, anyways, TulsaIrishFest.org. You can go on there to learn all about the food, the culture, the events, the experience, see all the bands that are playing. We have a little bit of work to do since we were just introduced. We have, again, 40,000 tickets to sell out. We got a little bit of ways to go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Come on.
So yeah, if you go to the website, you're going to be retargeted. Gotcha. You're
Gotcha.
welcome. So
Nice.
Cool.
Very good.
How'd you get in charge of that?
I have a connection with an AV company that works with my wife at the Tulsa World because Leslie puts on events.
Mhm.
She uses that AV company. That AV company is the AV chair at the Tulsa Irish Fest, and I met her in September at an event, and she goes, after that event, she told Leslie, she goes, "Hey, we're looking for someone for media and marketing. Would your husband be interested?" And she's like, "Oh no, I'll ask him." And then I was like, "Oh, well, let me look into it and see what's expected and
Right.
stuff." And so I met with him. I'm like, "Yeah, sounds good."
Here you are.
Here we are.
Yeah, and basically here we are.
Very cool.
What I love about that is it wasn't a pitch. It wasn't an out. It was relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So and so knew so and so, and here and there, and hey, what'd you think? And that
You're just having a click.
I've been doing a lot of connecting lately. Like I'm like, "Oh, you're looking for somebody? I know them. I'll just send an email."
Yep.
"Hey, here's someone. If you work something out, great. But at least
Yeah.
you know them now."
Got me into
know.
remodeling the Tulsa Girls Home.
And Turf to Max. That's a cool product. I don't know if you want to use it. It's up to you. I knew a guy. That's all.
I don't. But Tulsa Girls Home. That was a cool one. That'll be a fun project.
What'd you do?
Wait,
What are you
Nothing
doing?
yet. Nothing yet. We're gonna remodel their corporate office right next to their girls' home. And
Okay.
we're gonna do a demo, and then that's phase one. So basically, we're just gonna prep it, get it ready for the girls to move in, and then I believe in March is what Brittany said. We'll be moving in the girls. So about that time, we're gonna remodel like their pool area, give them some privacy from the main road. That's actually right across from the
We're not
mercantile.
If
Oh,
you get
nice.
us if you get
Yeah.
us out there on that project, we're not going to charge you to capture it.
Okay. Well, we'll
because
definitely.
it's a part of our donation for the Tulsa Girls Home to
Okay.
kind of record what's happening
Well,
out there.
and
So
phase three, they're knocking down that huge building in the back, which
Mhm.
breaks my heart because as a car guy, dude, that's a perfect garage. They're just gonna knock it down and build some townhomes. That's cool. I get it. Or some duplexes
Yeah.
or whatever. I get it. That's cool. But man, that garage just that'd be perfect.
I-
But anyways, that's cool.
That's
And then
super awesome.
so phase three, we'll be able to actually do a remodel on their backyard and all that, their townhomes, which that'll be fun. But I was in contact with Brittany. Got some good ideas of what we'll do for the property, and even possibly doing a just a long term setup with them to where we'll do like some annual switch out some flowers, keep everything pretty, and just a little bit of donation work.
Yeah.
Is I got 3 girls.
I
and
figured that it would
there's-
hit home with
yeah,
you.
right.
because,
There's
Yeah.
I like to think there's a long list of people before my girls might need a service like that, but you just never know,
Right.
and even like that, there's a lot of girls in my family. Literally, it's almost all girls. So I thought that would be something cool. It's like, hey, it'd be something cool. It just kind of hits home. I hope to never need something like that, but I love what they do, and what they're doing there is actually really freaking cool. I was like that, so they're building a whole townhome situation behind their corporate office for the girls aging out of foster care, which is awesome.
Awesome.
Like most of the time, these girls are kicked out, and it's like that's it, you're
Yeah.
done, right? And it's like now they're giving them another opportunity. And not only that, what I think is awesome is like in Jinx, right? Jinx is popping. Jinx and Broken Arrow right now are like fighting against who's gonna be top dog. Owaso's like trying to do something, but they're like
there's a
way
lot of
back
things you
there.
can do there that's walkable. You could
Right.
walk
Yeah,
to
right.
the racers. You could
Right.
walk to any of the coffee. There's a coffee shop, I believe, over there. There's
Yeah,
some
well, we've met there a
nightlife,
couple
like-
times.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's not like you're out in the middle of nowhere
it's
or in a
great,
sketchy
great
area.
location.
Because there's some great organizations that are in some questionable areas.
Well,
Right.
And
yeah.
to be in a good area, costs some money. Like Jinx is not cheap to be
no,
honest.
absolutely not. But and that's another thing. Great point that you're saying is like they were so lucky to find that house there. Like that's a perfect house for them. Like that's
Mhm.
awesome to be able to have that little corporate space along with that. Like that's
incredible.
That's crazy. Yeah. And so close to literally Main Street Jinx. Like, and not only that, you think about it, I know they're going to build relationships with that Main Street, commerce area. That'll help all those girls be able to find places of employment and build from there, like in a good community versus, like you said, and like you said, I've seen a couple of homes and stuff that great resources, but you're out in the middle of the country. It's like, man, that doesn't really, people get bored. We're all human, right? At least if you're in the middle of Jinx, you got all this beautiful, amazing opportunities. That is fantastic. So yeah, thank you for that one. The connecting works. Whether you're just helping somebody out or you just, in passing, it does work. You just end up meeting people. You click with somebody, and before you know it, you're doing awesome jobs. I know one of my big jobs this year too. Same thing. It was through somebody that I've never even met. They called our office and said, "Hey, I got your information from a realtor, Erica Keaton. Erica, if you listen to this, I don't know who you are, but thank you." She called the office, or he called the office, said Erica Keaton, a realtor, recommended you. I'm like, I have no idea who you are, but okay, let's meet with you. And we got to do an awesome project with a fantastic couple that my team loved. Everybody loved in the company. They were just great people to work with. And again, it just came. I wasn't messaging nothing. I wasn't pitching anything. I was just doing me.
Yep.
And you happen to click with somebody, you happen to do a great job, and make a mark in somebody else's eyes, right? And then they happen to refer you, and that's just awesome. That's the best ones.
That's the best one. I help lead this local networking group, and we said we got 3 rules: meet people, make friends, let business grow. Like that, in that order. And that's, I think, in a world where there's a lot of people just pitching, trying to get, like, if you can actually build a relationship, I think that is a greater currency now more than ever before.
Oh, absolutely. And
Do you think you have to be at a certain? Because if I get here, I remember being in those pitching modes,
Right.
and a lot of times when you're in those pitching modes and you're sell, it's because you're fine financially, but you may be fine financially, but you have a goal, or you could be struggling. For me, I know in those times when I was heavy pitching, financially struggling, buy. Hey, you want this? I know you want this. Come on, buy this. Click here. Come on, like, give me your money. Write a check, whatever. Sign here. And it's always like, hey, do you need me? Do you need this? Do you need this? I can provide this. I can help you with that. Blah blah blah. And so it was getting to the point to where it's like, you're financially comfortable. Do you think that like, do you think you have to get to a financial comfortability standpoint in order to be able to just be willing to connect and help with people?
No.
Because do you think those people are financially struggling if they're like buy, or do you think it's just?
I think it's yes. I don't think it's as clear, because I
like his answer already.
I was giving a lot last year, and it was the worst year we've done financially ever.
So you were still giving,
Absolutely,
and you were still financially struggling.
for sure.
Okay.
And so for me, I'm going, okay, if I can build relationships with people, then I know, it's the Jim Rohn quote, I think, like, you help enough people get what they want, you always get what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And through relationship allowed me to connect with great business owners that I could then ask, like, hey, here's what I'm working on. Punch holes in it. Like, don't poke.
Mm-hmm.
And it helped me get clarity. It helped me have opportunities. And so relationship is the greatest currency for growth. If you are that hard seller, that's fine. But just make sure enough people want your stuff, and know that there's going to come critics with both ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's just who's the critic.
Mm-hmm.
There's a cost associated with success and inaction. So just be aware of that. And I know people that I when I feel frustrated by people that pitch a lot, or, hey, I got this, I go, what about that frustration bothers me? Like, what emotion comes from it? And it's typically always something I wish I had the ability or the willingness to do.
Mm-hmm. I like the way you put that, because, we hired Lexi this week, right?
She was here
she's
today.
getting there. Yeah, right. She was here today. She's getting there. And she's like getting these cold call emails, basically, right?
For sure.
And I'm like, oh, don't put that. I hate when people do that. Oh, don't do that. I hate when people. I just ignore it. And she like looks at me. She's like, but this is what you're asking me to do. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I hate it, but it needs to be done because it works. Like, I hate to say it, but it works.
Wait, what?
And I'm like, she was sending out
Like
emails,
cold
right?
outreach.
But the way the way the emails, like the titles or whatever she wanted to put in there, I was like, that's like, we can do something better. And again, it just came down to like, you don't want to be that cold caller. You don't want to be that guy knocking on doors. You don't, but the reality is it works. And there's certain people that if you want to reach them, you have to target them specifically. So like for me, who she's targeting right now is like HOAs, property managers, and certain builders that I really want. And I'm like, these people have gatekeepers. These people have like they're not just gonna find us on Facebook or Google or not. Like you have to get in there with someone, take them
A
to
lot
lunch.
of times they're not looking for you either.
They're not. They're not. I'm like,
Yeah.
you have to literally get in front of
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
I said, there's been people that I've met strictly by showing up on accident to the same place that I knew they were going to be at. And that wasn't on accident. I showed up. I made sure I said hi, introduced myself. Like, I know, but I'm like, that's these people that I'm going after. You have to meet that way. I'm like, and I hate being that person. I said, but then today, like, she said that to me. I was like, oh, that's right, but I'm not. You are. So now people will know Lexi as that person for ARC. But now I just need to figure out who those people are, where they hang out. I'm just going to show up. And now that brand recognition, right? They start seeing us around. You start building a relationship away from business. Like, actually, it's funny. I heard a quote, I think yesterday or the other day I was watching TV, and it said, something about friends, right? And this guy's paying his friends, like, man, good friends aren't cheap. And I just laughed and I said, yeah, they're not. And my wife's like, what do you mean? I was like, it's just funny. All my best friends I did business with before they were my friends.
Right. Oh,
And
really?
it's like, yeah, all my good best friends right now, I did business with them before I ever actually was their friends.
What did you do with Chance? Speaking of which,
Well, again,
those pillows represent Chance right now.
Those
If y'all are
pillows
wondering, for
represent
the last
Chance.
47 minutes and 14 seconds, those are Chance pillows.
So Chance and I may have never
he's
formally
in Colorado right now,
yeah,
snowboarding,
having fun.
Yeah,
We may have never formally started business, but we've done lots of business transactions together. But nonetheless, it's like those you surround yourself with those people, right? And it's like it just how I lost train of thought where that was going.
Well, it made me think of a quote that, it may resonate. A client will become a friend faster than a friend will become a client.
Right. And that's true. And actually I say that too because Lexi the other day when we came, as soon as we left, she asked, did you guys like do business together? Or are you guys like friends always? It's like, why? I don't know. Why? Do you guys like, I was like, well, honestly, he chased me for a while and then finally we like hung
Chance
out.
his ass down.
Yeah, he did. I was like, and then we did business for a whole year before we ever actually hung out.
Right.
Like ever actually hung out. Braden sat down and was like, look, you want me to do this for you? I fucking need this. That's just plain and simple. I can't do around it. I was like, and then she's like, you can tell. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, it's just a relationship you guys have. It's different. I'm like, I think that's good.
Right.
Like, I think that's good. I don't know. But it's that reality of like, once you have friends with business owners, you just connect differently.
Right.
You just understand different struggles. You understand, like you said, with that being hungry and making the sales is like some people are just those people, right? And you start to realize like those people typically hang out together.
Sure.
They're just salespeople. Then there's people that just, hey, we just like to build relationships. We know sales will come of the relationships if you just take care of the relationships. And then you start to find out that those people hang out together, right? And it's like it just depends on who you are. And I do think that we all are prone to being human, right? When business isn't necessarily going great, you're like, hey guys, I need some help. I need this. I need that. I need
The
that.
sales and the relationship is so much just in the business sense. It's so much easier when you make the relationship
Absolutely.
professional.
Absolutely.
So,
Well,
one of my clients is across the street, and he loves coffee. Well, we had a coffee sponsor, and I had some leftover coffee from it, and so I brought him some coffee. And I was like, hey, this is the company, they're local, blah, blah, blah. I was like, if you want to support them, great, but if not, like, here's some free coffee. I think you like it. And he was like, wow, thanks. And then, like, every time I'm over there, like, I compliment his shoes and do, like, some, like, quirky stuff like that. I like his shoes. He's just, like, a real kind of statured, professional, whatever kind of guy. But I'm always trying to, like, do that. But you can only do that with so many people before you're, like, how do you manage all those relationships? Because I could have.
So
I do essentially have 100 and something relationships to manage. That's a fuck ton of relationships.
It's a lot, and I think with that, I'm a firm believer in your relationships and your communication should change, right? Excuse me.
Bless you.
Excuse me. I don't necessarily think like, hey, necessarily you drop somebody or anything like that. But at some point, you need to focus on certain people in your life a little bit more than others, right? So like our kids and our family, there's certain seasons of our life where we need to focus on them a little bit more. Our people here and there. But I'm a firm believer, and I feel like I learned this in our business pretty early on, where it's like you don't need to manage all of it. You need to manage a select few and then touch base on the others. So like in my team, a lot of people ask me, how do you guys manage, 15 people? I'm like, I don't manage 15 people. Like I don't. I manage 3 people and we have one big meeting on Friday. And that's it. That's all I need to manage my people. Now those 3 people each individually manage other people. So like for instance, we'll use Chance as an example. Since he's not here, we'll talk about him. Um, but like a relationship with Chance is like, hey, I don't necessarily need to manage a super heavy relationship with Chance, right? But keep up with him every now and again. He's a great guy. But Chance has his own circle of people too that he will help put me in touch with. With you, same similar situation, right? His circle of friends is more in the car community and will help me out in that circle, right? With you, it's like, well, I keep a conversation with you and relationship with you, and you have your circle of people that you will keep me in touch with. I've got friends over here that same thing, and it's like realistically, I have about 4 or 5 best friends that I keep a really good relationship with. Like we go shoot the shit often enough, this and that. And then I've got other acquaintances that I'll go hang out with them, once every 2 weeks, once a week, or once a month. I'll just happen to see them or casually, or if I go hang out with Chance, they're with Chance. Or if I go hang out with you, you bring them along. So it's like you don't manage 100 relationships. In my head, I'm like, you manage as many as you can, but you want to make sure you build those relationships and you curate them correctly, because it comes down to like, do you build a team? Yeah, I don't know about you, but I feel like you're a significant portion of my team. And it's like, but you're not like on my team.
I say it's really hard to build a team.
It's hard. Exactly. It's hard to build a team, but it's like
It's hard to find like good people who give a shit.
right. But as a business owner, you're not building a team to build your business. You're building a team to keep you sane. There's a difference. Like it really is. You're not the people you're building in your team for your business is completely different than the people you're building for your friendships as a business owner. Or
Do you know my team will buy me lunch because I don't?
Because you don't eat lunch. Yes, they tell me all the time.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
That I don't eat lunch.
Mm-hmm.
You heard that?
Yeah.
From who?
The Christmas
From your
party.
team. Yeah.
Oh.
It's
How
a
did
thing.
that get brought up?
We know.
That's so funny.
But like I said, it's different people, right?
I
Like-
say that I said that to brag on that, not to mention that I don't eat lunch.
Well, no,
and to make
but-
me a pity party. or
but
anything.
if-
There's
we're
gonna be
being
a bunch
honest-
of DoorDashers show up.
But if we're being honest,
Yeah,
you
right.
hang out with us
Ding, ding.
here. You hang out with us here. What's gonna happen? We're all
Buy me
skipping
lunch?
lunch. No, we're all
Oh.
skipping lunch. We're gonna be busy working. We're all gonna forget to eat.
Yep.
Right. So it's like, again, depending on the team, depending on your relationship and where, like I said, that's why I don't feel like you necessarily need to try to manage all those relationships. I definitely think you constantly be connecting and managing those relationships.
So
But you will find certain people that you click with the best. And those people you build those real relationships with. And guess what? You're not their only friend, and that's okay. Like, we're all grown adults. Like, we got kids, families. I mean, a whole slew of things. If Braden, I would not get upset if you're like, hey, well, I went golfing or had a cigar with somebody else. I'd be like, oh, thanks for the invite. Nah, dude. I'm like, that's good. Good for you. Like, I was at home with my family. Later, dude. Catch you on the next one. It's
when I'm
just
trying
different.
when I think about trying to grow and scale, like what I've been trying to do for the last couple of years. Anytime I hire somebody, I want them to have similar values that I have, because they're going to, and as I work with my team, my values carry along and how I communicate, and that creates a better brand.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. Being able to have like the character similarities is huge,
Mm-hmm.
because then you know, okay, at least that portion of it, and then it's just competency and
Mm-hmm.
capacity that you focus on with scaling. Like the largest team that I got to directly, indirectly oversee was 517 people. Well, there's no way, but I had 9 that led 42 that led the other 468.
Mm-hmm.
I spent time with
9.
the 9. And so I think it's important to do for a few what you would want to do for all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know the 517th person on the team. There's no way.
Possible.
There's no way. They got a high five when I saw them. Didn't know nothing about them. But the 9, intimately known.
Mm-hmm.
Like, knew what was going on in their world.
Mhm.
And I think that's important. There's levels to it.
I agree, 100%.
Levels to this shit.
There's 100%. I mean, there is. There really is. It's just, and we talked about it early on in the early, like probably first season of the podcast. Like, how do you know if you're hanging out with the right people? You know, and it's you just find those people by doing this, right? And like I said, you do find people you click with. You find people you won't click with. I mean, we've had 40-something episodes, man. Of the 40-something episodes, Kyle's been on here 3
I think
times.
today's 42.
Kyle's been on here 3 times.
Come on.
Who else has been on
We're
there
gonna
3
have to
times?
start paying him.
Yeah, right. Who else has been on here 3 times? And it's like, the reality is like, you just click with certain people, and that's okay, because certain people, and especially in our positions, I feel like we influence a large group of people, right, within our circles, and we're not necessarily trying to get business, but, and I've been in this position with you, and you've been in this position with me, but dude, when you're struggling, when you got that real relationship built, bro, I can come to you guys and be like, guys, I need some fucking sales. Can you guys help me? Anything. And then next thing you know,
I would put in some work for you, some labor.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Next thing you know, you got a couple guys that are like, what do you need? What do you need? We
I
can
love
make
that.
something
Man,
happen.
Nothing
it's
feels
like-
better than knowing that.
Right.
Same thing with you.
Exactly.
Like if
Oh,
you
no
needed me, if you're like, bro, I really need you, I got your back.
Right, and
You
that's
know?
what I'm saying. It's like that relationship, though. You can't do that with you can't build that with 100 people. You can't, and especially us with young families, it is hard to build out with like 5. I mean, your families alone is like 4, 5, right? Like you're like,
right,
dude,
yeah.
I got school, I got activities, I got just everything, right? And it's like, but as the men of our family, as the leaders of our families, we want to be those people that continue like pushing our families in some way, shape, or form. And I know for me, it's like, well, one of the best things I can do is make sure that my circle is a strong circle. I may not feel like I'm doing a lot, but if I'm surrounded by the right people, the Bible said it, and it's been proven time and time and time and time again. Who do you surround yourself with will show you who you are.
Right.
And it's like we're constantly evolving and trying to change who we're hanging out with. And it's like, between us 3, I've seen the growth over the last 2 years, over the last year and a half. And it's like, wow, that's awesome. And it's like, and to think that a year and a half ago, we still thought we were nothing. We still think we're nothing. But when you look at each other, it's like, well, he's got a pretty large circle of influence. You got a pretty large circle of influence. Well, maybe not so much. But then you start looking at the other, it's like, well, I feel the same way about me. And it's like, well, that's how you start building that good team of people. It's like, well, we start to cohesively work together. You got a good group of team. It's like, well, Braden, you know what? I may not necessarily know a painter, but I got a house that I want to paint. Braden, that's fine. I'll see if I can find somebody. I was like, dude, I already got somebody. I got the perfect person. Here you go. Boom. Why? Because I happen to know 2 guys that happen to know an extra 50 people. Well, I'm now to my tile time, and now I need to retile my house. And Kyle's like, I'm out, dude. My guy burned me. And now you're like, I got 2 guys that I know for a fact are great. Right? And then it's like all of a sudden, you don't need to know everybody. You need to have 4 or 5 people you trust that you know, no matter what, they're trying to take care of you. They might not always give you the right answer, because let's be real, we try to take care of our kids day in and day out, and sometimes we're wrong, you know? But it's like the reality is that you have these people that, in a sense, you feel like are going to take care of you, you know? And you do build that. And whether it's with your team, whether it's your network, you know, I know, like you said, and Kyle doing as many speaking engagements as he did this year, you're trying to build that network. You know there is value in that network. It is hard. It is extremely hard. But, you know, it's consistently networking to find those connections. Because I would say that's it. You're networking to find the connection. Because other than that, man, you're meeting hundreds. I've met so many people this year. And like I said, of the many people that I've met, I probably got 4 or 5 people that I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that guy. I actually liked him, and so on and so forth. And it's like, but those people keep that relationship up. And then before you know it, you're just hanging out, doing nothing. And then business comes this way. I mean, like Josh Norrid. Dude, he was a great guy we had on the podcast. I really enjoyed him. And it's like I've had more interactions.
His videos are publishing right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like I've seen more of him, and not only have I interacted with him more on social media than really anybody else we've had on the podcast. And it's like, why? Just because I like the guy. He's not in my business industry whatsoever. But again, you like the guy. And Josh has his own circle of influence. We heard his stories, right? He's got a big circle of influence in a very niche business. But guess what? That niche business, I would not mind flying somewhere to do a landscape for him. That'd be awesome, right? But again, it's that circle, the opportunity to just randomly pop up. I know whenever we first met Kyle, he probably had no idea he'd be doing 78 speaking engagements in 2023 and already having booked out
He was like,
2024.
how am I gonna do 32?
32.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
For sure.
And more than doubled it.
Yep.
Right?
More
So
than
it's
double
like,
it and have 34 for next year.
see, that's just beautiful. Beautiful.
So is it 48 and 24?
No, and here's we were talking about this before we hit record. It's a revenue goal next year because this year was about getting attention. This year was about, and so what people don't know, and heard it here first. Like the first 30 events, I paid my way to get there. Some I sponsored to be able to speak. Now I'm getting paid to speak for every one of them. And so now it's going, okay, because it would, the ego in me would say, oh, I'm going to do 100 next year. I'm going to do 115 next year. I want to push that. But then I go, I have a 2 and a 4-year-old.
Goodbye.
Like
You're traveling.
I'm
You're not
a
home.
third of the
Yeah.
year. No. Now, 4 or 5 years when my kids are older and can come with me and my wife can come and
It's different season.
oh, I can wait for the time to get there, but I can't wait for those moments. And so I'm like, even Ginger and I have talked about it because that's typically the question about this time. Folks have been following me, whatever. They're like, so what is it next year? I'm like, it's a revenue goal. And with the revenue I want to hit, I can do about 40. And I think that I'll get there. And so, I'm at like 34 right now.
I like that because your industry is obviously different than mine. You said how to pay to get in there, right? For
Right.
the first like 30. In my industry, it's similar, right? There's a lot of you pay because you don't have a clue what you're bidding. Yeah, the customer might pay you, but you're losing money,
Right.
right? Because you don't know what you're doing. And it's like it's so true in business, and I'm sure Braden experienced that early on. But after you start building that traction, then you start to try to figure out what your worth actually is, right?
For sure.
But at first, you have to build that traction. You got to start giving that value. You got to start doing that. Then once you're like, okay, I kind of like this year, we're cutting all of our residential maintenance. That's hard. We're cutting 80 customers. That is hard. But why are we doing it? Well, because we built our traction. We got to shift. You're right. It's a revenue. For us, it's more of a profit and net profit goal. But in order to achieve that, there's only so much I can handle, man. I got to start cutting some stuff off. And like I got young kids that are main priority. Will always be main priority, right? But you've got to make shifts. We're human. And if I put business first, I had to say goodbye to my family. And that's just not where we're at, right? And I know we talked about this before the podcast, right? We're year 3 to 5, right? And it's that shift. It's like, I love that. You're right. You're kind of getting your rhythm. You're like, I got some exposure. Now I got a revenue goal. But that revenue goal has to be hit within my realm of what I want for my family goal.
Right.
And it is really a hard, you've been here. We've all been there where it's hard to juggle that all the time. But that's where I feel like I've been for the last couple of years, is trying to figure out what that balance is, what I really want out of my company. And that's why this year we're cutting our residential customers, and it's hard. But I decided, like, hey, you guys have been great customers, but ultimately I'm trying to make money while still getting time to like enjoy with my family.
100%.
Like that's it. Like I don't want to make all this money and not be able to be at home with my family. Like that's irrelevant to me. The whole reason I'm doing any of this is for them.
Yeah.
So I like that, man. I like that.
Yeah, there's been a lot. We've been in like a 12-month sprint. And there were 2 things I wanted to achieve this year relative to speaking. And I kind of joke, I wanted Big Mo and I wanted Toma. I wanted to be top of mind, have top of mind awareness and momentum. I think we got both of them on the team now. And so now this following year is going, okay, how can I leverage fewer events and make more and be able to then have a clearer path for ongoing work? Because that was the thing too, is all the speaking events are fun and it gets momentum and it keeps me top of mind for a speaker. But as long as I'm only a speaker, I'm still trading time for money. Yep. And I can't really scale that. I can't be in multiple places at one time. And so now we've worked and created pathways for the groups
Coaching
and the ongoing stuff that creates monthly revenue and then I can do fewer speaking events, and so it's fun. But like we were saying, 3 to 5 years. One of my mentors, he's local here. He goes, 3 to 5 years, you'll start to know if it's going to work or should you do something else.
Mm-hmm. I think I agree with that.
I should have quit 7 years ago.
But aren't you glad you didn't?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm not sure I would have ever met you. That would have sucked. Look at this cool studio.
Still not there yet.
We're never gonna
Never
be there, dude.
Content,
We're
never
those,
satisfied.
We are those people that will never be there.
You know how many times in my life that I've heard that in a derogatory standpoint that you'll never be satisfied. Nothing will ever make you happy. Aren't you happy with anything? You're not happy with your life. Look at all the things you have. Look at who's around you. Like, you're not happy.
It's like,
Why
I'm
aren't you happy?
thankful.
Like,
I'm thankful.
no, I'm happy. I love it. I love this. I love that. Whatever. Like, I have this. Whatever. But I'm like,
What's the right response to that?
I'm hungry. Like,
I'm offended by your
I feel like
contentedness.
so whenever I feel like, and we got to wrap up here in a minute. Whenever I feel content, I feel like I'm going to stop, and I
Yep.
feel like when I stop, the momentum will stop with it, and therefore I'll quit growing, I'll quit learning, I'll quit obtaining new, better something, this and that. I just feel like I'll stop, and I'm like, I don't ever want to stop.
Yep.
I could be 75 and probably still working
Right.
because I'll just be bored. I feel like if I stop, I'll die.
Sure. Be content, but not satisfied.
And that's how I've explained it to you.
And that's how it is. And if somebody is, well, why don't you look at what all you have? You shouldn't want all this stuff. Okay, you're not my people.
Mhm.
And that's a hard thing
Yep.
because people will critique what they can't comprehend.
Mhm.
And so you wanting more, building more, going further, going faster, going farther, people aren't going to understand it. They can't
Mhm.
comprehend. If I had what you had or what you had, oh my God, I'd be set for life. Well, I'm glad that my floor is your ceiling, but I am not you.
Yeah. I like that.
And we don't have to even say that. It does
Right.
not even justify a response.
Mhm.
Because there are people that I share my wins with and they're like, oh, that's dope, man. And they'll celebrate, but then it's like, oh yeah, I signed up, whatever. I'm like, damn, like I love being homies with people further than me because I'm like, oh, y'all done broke the glass ceiling. Like I'm putting my ladder up there, baby. And that's what's fun. But if people try
Did you
to
hear me?
yeah, hey, let's go.
I'm down here. I'm
Marco
coming.
Polo. But
Throw that rope down.
It's just amazing when I love when people like, hey man, why are you doing all this? Because I've gotten a handful of that, not many, but like, dude, you're here and you're here and you're here and you're here, and I'm like, yeah, isn't it amazing? And they're like, yeah, I guess. I'm like, hey, listen, you don't know the conversations my wife and I have. My kids still run to me, even y'all being flexible, even today. Like, hey, I messed up my schedule. My kids' Christmas program's an hour earlier than I thought, and y'all were, hey, yeah, we'll adjust.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's what homies do. Like,
Yeah.
family first, and also we're going to build massive businesses.
Oh, absolutely. Time is just part of the equation.
So, on the next upcoming episode is with Mason Thatcher.
Ooh, come on.
On January 5th, we'll be recording the road ahead in a year in review. He'll have some good pointers as well and some good things to talk about. He's changed a lot this year, acquiring some new assets, getting rid of some stuff, making some adjustments. Him and I get together. We talk every now and then and stuff too. So he definitely stays busy, and he's been on here as well. Now,
Mhm.
before we close out, since you're one of the few who have actually been on here with us multiple times, what makes you come back?
Camaraderie, the authenticity. There's a lot of things people could watch or listen to or even be a part of. This never felt forced.
I like
The
it.
first time. Mason was who introduced me to y'all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It never felt forced. Hey man, would you come back? Never felt forced. It seemed as if we had been like I just meshed right into y'all's friend group.
Mhm.
And so the authenticity, the willingness to open up a space, do this, share the conversations we've had. I mean, we played phone tag for 3 days.
Oh, we did, dude. I would call him in the morning, and then he called me in the afternoon, and then I'd text him in the evening and be like, "Hey, we'll catch up." And then he'll call me the next. And we did that for 3 days. We called each other. We left voicemails.
You started that with me. You'll start getting texts at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
I wake up at 4
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh
What's
yeah. I start
up?
responding. I'm like, oh fuck, it's 4.
Right.
Probably shouldn't do that.
But yeah, the conversation. This is a conversation that's easy to have. It in a world that we're constantly giving. This is one that fills up. So, like, even as people are watching, listening, like, to be a guest, this is easy. Y'all make it where it flows. It's not forced. Authenticity on 100.
That's cool. I mean, that's one of our goals and values of the whole show, the podcast, is to make it authentic and easy and conversational and real,
Yep.
Yeah.
true, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and it's not even like the other episodes I've watched. Like, it's not even just, it's y'all have an ability to make people feel at ease, and they talk about things they wouldn't on other platforms or in front of other groups.
Oh, that's cool. It's
That's cool.
therapeutic.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is.
when he misses out, he's like, I need it.
Yeah, I do. I'm like, I missed my therapy this week. I don't like it.
Right.
Like, it's bad. But Kyle, thanks for being apparently our designated super sub.
Come on, man.
My guy.
Designated super
dude,
sub.
he-
I like that.
Three times
Every
this year.
time.
Keep
He's
him on
3 times
speed
a year.
dial and be like, "Hey, we need a guest." He's like, "I'm there, buddy.
Let's go.
I mean, it's always great conversation. Like you said, it's definitely, like Braden said, we've always tried to be authentic, real, vulnerable. Because I feel like that's what's
There's so
missing.
much
That's
out
what's
there
missing,
that's
man.
show and for
Right.
play, and you're just like, I can't always live up to what everyone else's facade is, and
That's cool. You just landed that big ass job. Let me tell you about the fact that nothing's rolling in for 4 weeks.
and let me tell you
Let's
that
be
the
real
fact they're
here.
not paying
Right.
you for 4 months, and you need 50% of it to pay payroll, you need another
Right,
20% to
right,
pay
right.
expenses, and you don't have the money to do it.
Let's be real about it.
Part 2.
yeah. Part 2. That's right. That's right.
Welcome to the Brews and Business Podcast. We'll see you next year. Haha.
Hell
Dad
yeah.
joke.
Next year. Let's
Get
do
it?
it.
Because
Next
it's
year.
the last one till
Yeah.
January 5th.
I like it.
Okay, we're done.
Okay, you're done.